Good afternoon and welcome to Charlie's Corner. I got a story I'm going to tell you, and this story, it begins in 2948 BC and ends just about 5,000 years later with me sitting right here. So it's going to take a while to tell this story. I'll make yourself comfortable. Pour yourself a cup of coffee. I got some Bailey's Irish cream to go in the coffee if you like. It's cold outside. This makes it a little bit warmer. And my favorite cup. My sister gave me this cup. Settle in. And let's get started. All right. Back in 2948 BC, there was a man born in Shulon, East Eden. And his name was Noah. Most of you probably know who I'm talking about. You know, the guy built an ark, the flood, loaded all the animals on, you know, that guy. Now, Noah had 3 sons. His oldest was Japheth, and he had another son, Shem, and I think that his youngest son was Ham. And he was 500 years old when he had Japheth. People lived a lot longer before the flood. Noah actually lived to be 950 years old. Well, when he was 500 years old, he had Japheth, which if you go by today's life expectancy in America, a man will live 77 years. I plan on sticking around for 100, but the statistics say 77. All right, so if you put that in years like it would be today, he had his first son when he was the same as a 40-year-old man, and he started building the ark when he was 48. And that's quite possible. You know, I think back when I was 48, I could even do it now. But at 48, especially with, you know, with God telling me what to do and I get other people to pitch in and help, yeah, I can build a boat. And what a boat he built. This thing was 510 feet long. Some people think it took him as little as 40 days, and some people say as long as 120 years. There's arguments about that. The general consensus is it took like 55 to 75 years to build. So Noah, he's like a 48-year-old guy. Of course, he's 500, actually. Or he was 500 when he had his first son. Anyways, he's between 500 and 600 years old because he was 600 when the flood came. And he loaded up all the provisions. He loaded up his wife, his 3 sons, and their wives, and God flooded the earth. Killed everybody. Now, I'm not going to go into the real detail of that story. You can find it right here. All right. If you don't have a Bible, look, do I believe in God? Well, the short answer is yes. All right, absolutely. It's not only do I believe in him, I actually know that he is. Um, but you don't get that story yet. You're going to get that story later. It'll come. Um, I've been as far east as Izmir, Turkey. I've been as far west as Queenstown, Tasmania. I've been above the Arctic Circle, above Tromsø, Norway, and I've been down to 43 degrees south latitude. Not north latitude, 43 degrees south, below the equator. I've been on the tops of the Cascade Range, going through the northwestern United States, and I've touched the bottom of the oceans, both the Atlantic and the Pacific. I've covered a lot of ground. One thing I can tell you is that God is everywhere. He is literally everywhere. If you want to know about him, get you one of these, crack it open, tells all about him in there. I highly recommend it. So Noah, he had two of his sons before the flood, and then the last one during the flood, I believe, if I remember the story right. Spent a lot of time building this big old boat. Probably got a lot of flack for building a boat on dry land like he did. Well, you build all boats on dry land, but you know, people ridicule him like they do. You can find a lot of controversy over the story, whether it was real or not. That's up to you. Personally, I believe the story as it was written, word for word. All right. You can believe what you want. Now, I was stationed on a fast frigate. It was 450 feet, just a bit smaller than the Ark would have been. And I crossed the Atlantic 6 times on that ship. And I'm going to tell you, you get a real appreciation for the story when you've actually been on the ocean and the nearest land is 2-3 miles straight down. And even on a big boat like that, there were times it was flat as glass, and there were times when this ship was going underwater and then shooting out the other side of the waves because the waves were so big. And it was white knuckle. So I can imagine what him and his family went through. Probably a little better than anyone who hasn't been to sea. As the story goes, it rained for 40 days and 40 nights. He was much longer, that, you know, till land was visible. Now, the longest I've been at sea is 52 days, which isn't anywhere near as long as he was at sea. But back to Noah. Um, like I said, he had a son, Japheth. And Japheth, his second son was, I don't know if I pronounce this right, it's Magog, Magog. He was the second son of Japheth. Um, and then the grandson of Magog was a guy named Fenius Farsaid. All right, so that about wraps it up for this part of the story. Um, Fenius Farsaid. I don't know if I'm pronouncing this right, but that's how I pronounce it. Um, I'm going to tell more about him in my next episode. So join me again on Charlie's Corner, and the story continues. See you then.